Rolando Romero versus Manuel Jaimes on the Canelo Alvarez versus Edgar Valenga fight card. Yo, come on in, come on in.
The knockout king in Edgar Berlanga, undefeated from Puerto Rico. It's Mexican Independence Day weekend. What a show we've got for you. And it starts on DAZN right now. Boys box office. It's back, baby! Thing about boxing.
Come on in, come on in. Come on in, everyone.
You know, I'll break everything in your face.
Here to dethrone the king, and he was in on the line against.
It's gonna turn into a firefight!
And people that don't believe it, we're gonna make them believe it.
It's a beautiful night for a fight, and we're hoping for a good one. Canelo Alvarez and Mexico versus Mexico. There's been some legendary showdowns. Countries, Felix Trinidad, Fernando, Salvador Sanchez, Canelo versus Cotto. And will these two, as they square off with a super middleweight, the key moment will be packed to the gills. Tonight's headliner, Canelo Alvarez. We say hello. Daniel Jacobs and, of course, King Gabe Rosado. It's been an interesting. Berlanga has come in barking like a dog. How it's been going.
Well, let's face it. He's doing everything he needs to do. His opponent's head. Canelo Alvarez. It seems as if Canelo's been taken into some of the tactics that he's been using. So I'm interested. It's going to play out in the first few rounds.
Canelo talking a lot of trash. They just posted one of his quotes on the billboard. Going to give him the beating of his life.
Yeah, man. Canelo, by Berlanga getting under his, he's going to make Canelo step on the gas. So I hope Berlanga's ready for the fire that is about to come. You know, he says he is, so.
Hey, speaking of trash, like friends here right now, but that wasn't the case a couple of years ago. Take a look at this. The oven tonight, but it's inside the ring, this battle to be one heck of a fight.
He's out of shape. He in shape. He got a wide body. I'm about to touch. I'm telling you. Watch this.
From Philadelphia, from Brooklyn, New York, Daniel Jacobs. A bit of a misstatement there from Jeremiah Gallego. Brooklyn's Daniel. The win. All right. Take us back to that moment. What was that like, thinking you'd won and then a second later?
Oh, man, listen. When you on a high and it goes down that fast, that's crazy, man. Like it was the first of history career, and to do it against this guy, it was a tremendous fight, right? So it could have gone either way.
Yeah. That you lost was against Canelo Alvarez. Let's revisit that. 2018 here in Las Vegas. Think of your performance, and what did Canelo do well?
I did it phenomenal. But Canelo is an athlete. Very determined, very strong, but he is the most elusive fighter I have ever faced inside the ring. Movement was top. His punching power was expected that night, but as far as just his resilience, And I was lucky enough to share the ring with him. It was a good fight that night. Definitely his top tier, pound for pound.
Decisions, doesn't he, Daniel?
He really does.
We don't expect it to be close. A lot of people think it's going to be feast or famine for Berlanga. Either knockout, it's no way it's going 12 rounds. Jaime, good fight in Canelo's last bout once, but made it the distance. What do you think of how Jaime Munguia fought Canelo?
More, I thought we saw the bold. Yeah, I expect him to come out aggressively as he did, but right there, Canelo made him pay immediately with that big upper. That changed the whole rhythm of the fight. Kind of second guessing himself on being aggressive. And when you this is Jaime Munguia's game. It's a lot about Canelo's game. What you have to do is you have to respect, and if he doesn't, try to walk through you. Berlanga just might have that power to be able to gain that respect.
I assume for Berlanga, he has to have a hot start.
I think he needs to kind of work his way into the fight,
Really?
get warmed up. Don't get caught up with the crowd. It's a 12-round. Pace yourself. Warm up. Once you get your body warm, then you can take. Just go out there because you know you got it. Go out there, systematic, put the pressure, and then when you see the opportunity, go for it.
These guys will be a four-fight card to get to, so let's send it ringside. Corey Erdman is standing by with Chris Mannix, and another person who Daniel Jacobs has beaten up, that's Sergio Mora, and he did it twice.
Pleasure to be here ringside. It's basically a festival of fight here in Las Vegas. We've enjoyed all the hoopla all week long, but let's talk tactics, shall we? Chris, Alvarez has seen every type of fighter. He's seen this fighter in the past, the young, rash puncher, the guy who's been fully tested in the past. What do you think the fight should look like for Canelo tonight?
Edgar Berlanga, it's about using size to your advantage. I mean, Edgar Berlanga, but he does have size at 168, and that's given Canelo in the past. Here we look at the first fight against Gennady Golovkin. Canelo to fight off. That fight was ruled a draw. Golovkin won that fight. Dmitry Bivol asserting his physicality and making Canelo fight. You know that Canelo Alvarez is he likes to come forward. He likes pace. If you can knock him off that and fight off his back foot, you can have some success. Berlanga's team told me this week that they believe he's going to weigh about 190 pounds on fight night, so there will be a significant size advantage for Edgar Berlanga. He has to find a way to assert it.
With some of your analysis leading up to this one, Berlanga, you know the tools that he has. He has electric power, the size that Chris just
Well, you mentioned it, it's the size. He's going to have 5 inches in height. But as far as tactics go, he needs a jab. And footwork. Up to now, we have footwork. He doesn't cut off the ring like he normally does. We're going to have to see something. He is confident. He believes in his power. Knocking out guys in the first round with that swagger, that size, and you.
And this is kind of part of the problem, right? That we need to see something from Edgar Berlanga that we've never seen before against a guy that is still top 5 pound for pound in the entire sport. There's a reason that Edgar Berlanga has a lot of skeptics out around him about this fight. Yeah, a lot of disbelievers when it comes to Edgar Berlanga. I believe about a plus 1,000 underdog or so coming into this one.
Mane,
Tail of the tape.
why you turn the light off?
Turn of Rolando as he takes on Jaimes, a bit of an unknown entity coming into this one. Romero, champion, as he makes his way to the ring, and one way or another, he's had a knack for getting people talking. Growing up in North Las Vegas, Rolly had a brief amateur career, but a former Cuban national amateur champion for a father. His breakthrough as somewhat of a cult figure in Vegas gyms for his wild sparring sessions, ones that caught the eye of Floyd Mayweather. Like Floyd, something into a divisive figure in boxing. You either love him or you hate him, but you always want to tune in to see what's going to happen. First time losing his WBA.
Rolly just walked into the ring.
Last time out. He's looking to turn in one of the performances that make people talk.
To the T-Mobile Arena here in Las Vegas, Nevada, as Canelo Promotions and Premier Boxing Champions present a PBC pay-per-view on Prime special event brought to you by Canelo Promotions and TGB Promotions in association with Matchroom Boxing. Our opening attraction is sponsored by DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. By O'Reilly Auto Parts, professional parts people, and by the Joker Folia Du in theaters October the 4th. Introducing our three judges scoring this bout from ringside. From Nevada, Tim Cheatham. Also from Nevada, Patricia Morse-Jarman. And from New Jersey, Steve Weisfeld. Introducing our third man in the ring, he's our referee in charge of this bout, Robert Hoyle. All right, fans, here we go. 10 rounds of boxing scheduled for the WBA Intercontinental Super Lightweight Championship. Introducing to you first, on my right, fighting out of the red corner, entering the ring wearing white trunks with red and green trim, and joining us from the fight town of Stockton, California. He weighed in at 139 3/4 pounds with a record of 16 wins, 1 loss and 1 draw. He has 11 wins coming by way of knockout. Please welcome the hard-hitting, battle-ready contender, introducing Manuel Jaimes. And his opponent across the ring on my left, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing yellow trunks with black trim, making his home and fighting out of his hometown of Las Vegas, Nevada. He weighed in slightly over the limit at 140 3/4 pounds with a record of 15 wins, 2 losses. He has 13 big wins coming by way of knockout. Here is the world-ranked contender, the colorful former WBA Super Lightweight Champion of the World, introducing Rolando Romero. Once again, the referee in charge is Robert Hoyle, now to give instructions.
Okay. Gentlemen, we went over the rules in the dressing room. Punches here are good, punches here are good. When I say break, I expect you to break. When I say stop, stop what you're doing and give me a good clean break. Touch them up, scoot back.
You know, this is Rolly Romero against Jaimes, but this is really about Rolly Romero, former title holder who has fallen on hard times as of late. If he can come out of this fight unscathed, even look impressive, he'll be in line for another world title shot. If not, it could be the end of the line for Rolly Romero.
Studying these guys, I think stylistically, you know, the bad habits and the bad technique that Rolly Romero shows when he comes forward with his power is going to probably fall into the hands of Manuel Jaimes. He fights pretty good. He squares up a little bit, but he throws the right punches that can line up nicely with the chin up in the air for Romero.
Round 1 underway. This one's scheduled for 10. Rolly Romero, as we mentioned, lost his WBA 140-pound title to Isaac Cruz last time out. Jaimes coming off a victory over Momo Romero, the faded former champion. An 8-round unanimous decision over him back in July. And Jaimes historically has been a super high output guy, Sergio. He's a guy who can touch somewhere between 75 and 100 punches per round. So that may be something that Romero is going to have to contend with here tonight. He's going to have to stymie that kind of output.
No, he is, and the way he's going to do that is by moving and jabbing. Right now, I like the fact that Romero's actually not getting as aggressive. I thought he's going to come out stronger and look for the knockout, not respecting Jaimes. Right now, I like what I'm seeing so far from Romero. The thing about Jaimes is, like, he'll square up, he'll throw the right hook, and he'll throw it from a southpaw stance. That's a dangerous punch whenever you have someone that keeps their head up in the air. So Romero, once he starts getting active, shots like that came up short for Jaimes, he's going to be vulnerable with it.
Bit of a calmer demeanor here from Romero in the early going, and Chris, we've kind of seen
The
that.
Bluetooth has been connected successfully.
Calm demeanor is one way to put it. He has been positively catatonic all week long. A really very low-key version of Rolly Romero, who has been kind of a showman in the past. Remember the Gervonta Davis fight from a couple of years ago? He did his part in selling that fight, but over the last couple of days, I'd almost use the word indifferent to describe Rolly Romero about this fight.
I got you. I'll get knocked out. Don't hurt your pride. That's what happened here with Romero. His times to shine, he came up short. You got to give it to him. He comes to fight, he promotes a good fight, but when it comes down to it, he still has to win. When you're getting stopped on the big stage by fighters like Pitbull and Tank Davis, guys like Jaimes, you should be able to take care of.
A negative jab there from Jaimes a moment ago. He leaps in and tries to get busy on the inside. Romero said he spent the entirety of his layoff just watching Bruce Lee movies. And you see the Bruce Lee inspired kit that he's wearing here tonight.
Yeah, he's going to need a jab, a nice jab. He has double and triple the jab for Romero. Jaimes has this quirky style. If you notice, he has pretty decent footwork. He goes in and out, but his upper body movement is pretty good. I like what I'm seeing. Look, that's what I mean right there, where he squares up.
Closing moments of the opening round as we are underway here at T-Mobile Arena.
I don't know. I get that first round to Rolly. First round to Rolly. Huh? You want a bag of chips out there? Huh? You want a bag of chips out there?
Yeah.
You threw the trash in the garbage, right? Huh? You ain't leave it in the room, did you?
What?
Your trash. Huh?
I didn't have any trash.
Yeah, you did. Your chips. And that. Whatchamacallit?
Oh, yeah.
What do you mean, oh?
Like a bit of an odd pairing at first, but of course, as we mentioned, Rolly Romero's father, very successful amateur coming up in the Cuban amateur system. Romero previously trained with Cromwell Gordon. A good left hand there by Romero, backed up Jaimes.
I like the pair up with Ismael Salas. When it comes to the Cuban school of boxing, if Romero's going to have more of a career, extend his career, because getting stopped like that, you can't just be aggressive looking for power. You need more. You can see it in the corner. They want more jabs. They want him to fight at distance, keep that range, and don't give that up.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Gordon, his former trainer, had a different take on that. He said that whoever gets him next, I hope they don't try to change him. Essentially saying that Rolly's strengths are that he could be a little bit unorthodox, that he could be physical, that adding refinement would take away what makes him great.
No way, man. No way. Look, I was unorthodox, but there comes a time when that's not going to work. I wasn't going to win a championship against Vernon Forrest being an unorthodox. I needed a jab, and that's what they want from Romero. In the high level, it's the jab that controls things. It dictates the pace, and it keeps you safe technique-wise.
Good shot, Rolly.
Chopping down on Jaimes there a moment ago. And what we are seeing here what Ismael Salas said the key would be for Romero here tonight, an active lead hand, giving Jaimes different looks with what he's putting out there.
Yeah, but it has to be more than one jab. Right now, Romero's not doubling or tripling the jab. He's not even dictating the rhythm of the fight with that one jab. Jaimes is walking through it just with upper body movement and looking for that overhand right.
Yeah, and I agree with what Sergio was saying. Like, the idea that you don't want to change someone or what made someone great implies that someone was great to begin with. And the reality is, you know, Rolando Romero got a questionable decision against Jackson Marinez a few years ago, a questionable stoppage in that fight against Ismael Barroso 2 fights ago. So in order to maintain his place at the top level, I think he does need to refine his game and add those layers you were talking about.
Closing in on the final 30 seconds of round 2. Romero jabbing to the body there a moment ago, getting a little bit more active with that lead hand as Jaimes leaps in with a left hook that just misses there. I think the question for Jaimes is, does he have the power to impact and change the course of this fight? Because Romero is an open target. That chin is still very much up in the air. You know, I got 11 knockouts on the resume of Jaimes, but I wouldn't consider him a power puncher at this weight class.
He's a strong puncher, not a power puncher. But whenever you have someone as reckless and as aggressive, you know, the power's going to be there.
I get that round to Rolly. Another round for Rolly.
You might be thinking, can AI make it all work?
He thinks he can hurt you now, so he's gonna fucking take more risks. Okay, you gotta make him pay when he's coming in, man. All right, let your fucking hands go a little bit, but move when you're done. You know, don't fucking stand up like Sterling. That's what you're watching here, okay? All right.
As round 3 is set to begin, you see a different Salas in the corner of Manuel Jaimes. That's Steve Salas from Stockton, California. And Manuel Jaimes probably wouldn't be here tonight if it weren't for a 2-for-1 deal, so to speak, that Salas brokered early in his career. Salas made a deal with Jaimes' now promoter that if he put Jaimes on the card that night in Stockton, California, that he would rent the ring to him for $500. So he said, well, I'll give you the ring for $500, but you have to put my kid on the card. He won that night with a second-round TKO, and he got a promoter out of it as well. They've been together since then, and here Jaimes is on a Canelo Alvarez undercard. Nice counter shot there from Romero.
Oh. Oh. Oh.
Ismael Salas wanted. He wanted that right uppercut. That's a dangerous punch to throw, but when you gamble and it lands, it can do damage like you saw right there.
Damn, Rolly almost knocked him out.
Smother his punches here. He did have Jaimes hurt on that last exchange. Got to be able to keep a little bit of distance so he can land that right hand again.
Yeah, the thing about uppercuts, your opponent won't see it coming, but lead uppercuts, like Romero did right there, that's very dangerous. You normally want to throw that on the inside or at least set it up with jabs. So he did, he threw it again.
Same shot there and got through. Now things get a little bit messy on the inside, which traditionally is where Jaimes can thrive. But Romero, that physical strength.
Rolly trying to knock him out with that uppercut.
Comes into play. Things get messy. Romero could do pretty well on the inside as well.
You can see that Jaimes, every time Romero throws a jab, he comes over the top. That's their game plan. They want to land that looping shot. I think it'll serve him right for Jaimes to start jabbing to the chest and to the body to fool and try to lure in Romero to get reckless with that right hand. I like the feints that Rolly's doing with his feet, but I don't like the jabs, the lack of jabs. I got you. More jabs from Rolly Romero, and then you can add those foot feints. Get Jaimes to bite off guard, square up, and then land that uppercut.
That's right hand over the top there from Jaimes. Jaimes recovering well. Looked like he might be in serious trouble, or might have been in serious trouble early in this round. Romero wasn't particularly eager to pounce on him in that moment.
Keep him in front, guys. Come on.
And Jaimes working his way back into this fight.
Nah, this is another Rolly round.
Final 10 seconds of round 3. Best round of the fight thus far for Rolly Romero. First flashes of the Rolly Romero power.
That's another Rolly round. Bam.
Guard on the inside fighting to get her watch out for.
Tú sabes lo que tú lo matas.
Good feedback. Don't stop.
Con el open, levántalo por dentro. Y sigue como va a hacer.
Okay.
No forme lío, pero sí asegurarte que tú le estás ganando los asaltos. ¿Ok? Límpiate los guantes conmigo.
Seconds out. Let's keep it clean, all right? Keep it clean. That's professional, all right? Let's do this.
Round 4 begins. Hear the officials' admonishment to both fighters to keep it clean.
You know, we talked about Rolly's jab and the need for him to stick that out there more often. The same way.
Oh, nice combination, Rolly.
That's how Romero finds success. But Romero is open, you know, leaving that chin upright and open to that jab. He should just be trying to flick it out there and try to land it as a scoring shot.
I agree. And, you know, you get a rhythm doing that as well. But you got to alternate it with speed and with power. You can't just be, you know, throwing it out there because you will get time.
Jaimes is kind of a lunging jab, sir. It's not really sort of a discipline.
Yeah, kind of punch was that, Rolly.
And that's why his question is power. You know, you said earlier he has 11 knockouts, 16 wins. He's not a power puncher, but he can catch you coming in too strong. And that's why I think, you know, Romero does wrong. But sometimes he punches too aggressively, looking for his target. But for this one, every time he throws a punch, no, he backs up. He steps back looking for a counter.
Yeah, Chris, and that lunging jab you're talking about from Jaimes, that works for volume punchers to get them to the inside if they're doing the work there, but Jaimes has not been able to do that with any regularity thus far.
No, he hasn't. It does work on a much lower level, which is what we've seen Jaimes in up until this point. 8-round types of fights. Got that win, as you mentioned, against Jonathan Romero, but that's a much more favored version of that fighter. He's never been at this kind of world championship level. I think we're seeing kind of some of the reasons why.
Romero missing with that left hook over the top. Romero's described himself as the hardest hitter in this weight class and has even teased the possibility of moving up as high as 154 in the coming years.
Rolly about to stop playing. Not fighting like this.
Side there from Romero.
Romero is one of the bigger punchers at 140, but I think lost faith a little bit in his power. I could see it in this fight, just 4 rounds in. You know, the power, you know, he's not really loading up like he normally does, even though he loaded up right there in those first 2 shots.
That's interesting, Sergio, because I think a lot of people viewed that loss to Isaac Cruz as a possible kind of humbling of Rolly Romero. And do you see that reflected in how he's behaving in the ring right now?
Not only that, but even in the, you know, when he had his hands full with Barroso, you know, that's what happens whenever you get stopped. That's what happens when you get your chin checked. You know, power punchers start thinking about not getting hurt instead of going out there and doing the hurting. No, just notice one thing. Every time Romero jabs, he steps back. He didn't do that before. So he jabs and he waits for the counter like he's a little shook, getting hit with something over the top.
He also is leaving himself exposed when he throws that rear uppercut. If Jaimes can time it right, you know, left hook probably worked pretty well.
Almost have it next hand there. That did connect from Jaimes a moment ago. Best shot in the fight thus far from Jaimes, and you hear him wooing all the way back to the...
Rolly about to stop playing.
when he gets rolling downhill, he's described himself as a bumblebee, a kind of a pest who's always buzzing around you, and perhaps we'll start to see that materialize now.
That's how I describe you, Sergio.
You know what? I knew that was coming. And guess what? You're right. You got to be a little pesty. You got to. When you don't have the big power and you don't have, that eraser with that big right hand, you got to frustrate opponents, and you do that with footwork, with angles, with making the miss, head movement, defense. Jaimes has a little bit of that. I'm not saying.
Oh, Rolando knocked him out.
But he does do some quirky things that are pretty clever in there.
Couple big hooks connected there from Romero. Jaimes rolled with them decently, and Jaimes trying to get back on top of Romero's chest.
I say it all the time. The way you beat polished fighters and boxers in perfection, I'm not saying Rolly's one of them, but the way you beat orthodox fighters is by being unorthodox. Jaimes does that pretty well. When he gets on the inside, he kind of squares up, turns southpaw, he loops his shots. That can actually work to his benefit with the right opponent.
Nice
Stiff
hook.
jab there from Jaimes, getting there before Romero's.
Jaimes straight punches landed better than the hooking shots of Romero.
You've seen Rolly the last couple of exchanges try to time that left hook as Jaimes comes in.
Nice clubbing right hand there from Romero. Jaimes got in there with a shot of his own.
Romero stopped foot feigning, so now Jaimes is not thinking twice of going to the front door and attacking, and that's the reason the confidence is swaying to the favor of Jaimes. Foot feints do a lot. Upper body foot feints. You make your opponent think of what you're gonna do. You can't just let him come in throwing shots like that.
Shot there from Jaimes, a good left hook. Romero comes back.
Oh, nice overhand right, Rolly.
Action really picking up here in the 5th round.
Talking to Robert Garcia earlier today about Jaimes, spent some time at his gym working on his sparring, great sparring in that Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. Was there one thing he said about Jaimes, that this kid is in great shape? Robert Garcia earlier today about Jaimes, spent some time at his gym working on his sparring, great sparring in that Robert Garcia Boxing Academy. Was there one thing he said about Jaimes, that this kid is in great shape?
Bitter.